Christmas Eve, 4:47 p.m. The first thing Mia Torres noticed when she walked into Ryan Mitchell's bedroom was the champagne. Dom Perignon, 2008, the same vintage they'd shared on their first anniversary. 2 glasses on the nightstand, one still bearing the ghost of lipstick. Red lipstick. Mia wore nude. The second thing she noticed was her sister. Lily was tangled in Ryan's sheets, the Egyptian cotton ones Mia had given him last Christmas, her dark hair spilled across his pillow like an accusation. Ryan's hand was on her bare shoulder, his face buried in her neck, and for one crystalline moment, Mia's brain simply refused to process what her eyes were showing her. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. She'd come early to check on the gala setup. The Mitchell family's annual Christmas Eve party was the social event of the Greenwich season, and Mia had spent 3 months planning every detail. She'd let herself in with the key Ryan gave her 6 months ago, the key she'd taken as a promise, a preview of the life they'd build together. Ryan? Her voice came out smaller than she intended. Smaller than Mia Torres ever allowed herself to sound. They sprang apart like guilty teenagers, which would have been funny if Mia's entire world wasn't currently collapsing. Ryan's face cycled through shock, panic, and something that looked almost like relief before settling on an expression Mia had never seen on him before, defiance. Mia. He didn't even have the decency to cover himself. We need to talk. Lily, her baby sister, 23 years old and still living off their mother's guilt, pulled the sheet up to her chin. Her eyes were wide, but there was something else there too. Something that looked almost like triumph. How long? Mia heard herself ask. Her event planner voice. Professional. Detached. As if she were asking about catering numbers instead of the systematic destruction of her life. Does it matter? Ryan was already reaching for his phone on the nightstand. Not his clothes. His phone. Yes. Mia's hands were shaking. She pressed them against her sides, willing herself not to fall apart. Not here. Not in front of them. Yes, Ryan, it fucking matters. 3 months, Lily said softly. Almost apologetically. But not quite. 3 months. Thanksgiving. All those times Lily had stopped by Ryan's office. All those family dinners where she'd laughed just a little too hard at his jokes. All those moments Mia had ignored because you didn't suspect your own sister. You didn't suspect the man who'd been talking about forever. Mia, listen, Ryan started. Don't. Mia's voice cracked. She hated that it cracked. Don't you dare tell me this isn't what it looks like, or that it just happened, or any of the other pathetic clichés cheaters use. I wasn't going to. Ryan stood, finally reaching for his pants. I was going to say that it hasn't been working for a while. You're always busy with your business, always stressed about money, always. Always what? Not your sister. Lily flinched. Good. This isn't about blame, Ryan continued, and Mia wanted to laugh at the absurdity. Of course it wasn't about blame. Nothing was ever Ryan's fault. Not the time he forgot to mention his ex would be at the benefit dinner. Not the way he always had an excuse when Mia asked him to meet her family. Not the subtle ways he'd made her feel like she should be grateful he chose her, a girl from a working-class family who'd built her business from nothing, over the debutantes and trust fund princesses constantly throwing themselves at him. Get out, Mia said. This is my house. Then I'll leave. She turned toward the door, desperate to escape before the tears came. That's when she saw her. Caroline Ashworth stood in the doorway, her iPhone pointed directly at Mia, recording. Caroline, Ryan's cousin, Greenwich society fixture, and the woman who'd made Mia's life subtly miserable for 3 years with backhanded compliments and strategic social exclusions. Oh, Mia, Caroline purred, her voice dripping with false sympathy. This is just devastating. I came upstairs to check on Ryan before the party, and I heard shouting. I wanted to make sure everyone was okay. She was still recording. Turn that off. Mia's voice was dangerous now. But this is so important. People should know what kind of man Ryan really is. What kind of woman your sister is. Caroline's smile was razor-sharp. I'm just documenting the truth. Mia lunged for the phone, and that's when everything went sideways. She didn't mean to shove Caroline. She just wanted the phone, wanted to delete whatever footage existed of the worst moment of her life. But Caroline stumbled back dramatically, hitting the hallway wall, and the phone clattered to the floor. Still recording. Mia snatched it up, her hands shaking so violently she could barely work the screen. She could see herself in the video, hair wild, mascara starting to run, face contorted with rage and pain. She looked insane. She looked exactly how Caroline wanted her to look. "You bitch," Mia whispered. "You absolute bitch. Give me my phone. Delete the video first. It's already uploaded." Caroline's smile widened. Cloud storage. Isn't technology wonderful? The world tilted. Mia's chest constricted, her breath coming in short gasps. A panic attack. She was having a panic attack in Ryan Mitchell's hallway while holding his cousin's phone, and her sister was in his bed and Christmas music was playing downstairs where 100 guests would arrive in less than 2 hours for a party Mia had planned. A party celebrating the Mitchell family's generosity and tradition. A party where everyone would know. She threw the phone at Caroline, not hard enough to hurt, just hard enough to make a point, and ran. Mia made it to her car before the sobs came. Her silver Honda Civic, 8 years old, dent in the passenger door from when she'd clipped a mailbox during her first year in business, looked pathetic next to the Range Rovers and Teslas filling the Mitchell's circular driveway. She'd always told herself it didn't matter. That she'd earned her place in Ryan's world through hard work and talent, not family money. But it had mattered. It had always mattered. She was still sitting there, forehead pressed against the steering wheel, when her phone started buzzing. Text after text after text. "OMG Mia, is this real? Girl, you okay? Just saw the video. I can't believe Ryan would do this. Your sister. That's messed up." And then, from her mother, Mia Rose Torres, "Why is there a video of you assaulting someone? Call me immediately." With shaking hands, Mia opened Instagram. The video was everywhere. Caroline had posted it with the caption, "When you discover your boyfriend is cheating. Christmas drama in Greenwich. Christmas tree broken heart #Kamma #caught cheating #Christmas cheater." But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the edits. Someone had already turned it into a meme. Her face, twisted in anguish, with captions like, "When you realize you're single on Christmas," and "MRW I see my ex happy," and "Christmas crazy girlfriend alert." Crazy Christmas Mia was trending locally. 3 years. She'd spent 3 years building Torres events into something respectable, fighting for every client, every referral, every 5-star review. 3 years proving she belonged in a world that had made it clear she was an outsider. 3 years with Ryan Mitchell, enduring his mother's thinly veiled criticisms and his friends' assumptions that she was after his money. All of it gone in one video. Her phone rang. Priya Sharma, her best friend since college, the one person in Greenwich who'd never made Mia feel less than. "Where are you?" Priya demanded without preamble. Sitting in Ryan's driveway, apparently starring in Greenwich's favorite new Christmas meme. "Come to my place. Right now." "I can't. I have to." "What?" "Save face." There was no face left to save. "I have 3 events next week, Pri. The Vanderbilt New Year's party, the..." "Mia, honey, have you checked your email?" Ice flooded Mia's veins. "No." "Why?" Priya's silence was answer enough. Mia opened her email with dread pooling in her stomach. The first message was from Catherine Vanderbilt. Mia, given the circumstances and the unfortunate publicity, we've decided to go with another planner for our New Year's celebration. I'm sure you understand. Best wishes, Catherine. The second was from the Harrison wedding. We need someone who can maintain professionalism and discretion. The third was from the Greenwich Country Club. In light of recent events, we feel it's best to part ways. 3 clients. Gone. Just like that. All with connections to the Mitchell family. Mia. Priya's voice was gentle. Talk to me. He destroyed me. Mia's voice was hollow. Ryan destroyed me, and he didn't even have to try. He just existed in his perfect world with his perfect connections, and I'm the crazy ex-girlfriend who can't take a joke. This isn't over. We can fight this. We can. Fight what? The video is real. My reaction is real. And in Greenwich, perception is reality. Mia laughed, but it came out broken. I lost 3 clients in an hour, Pri. By tomorrow, I'll have lost them all. Torres Events is done. Then we rebuild. You've done it before. I was 22 before. I had nothing to lose. Mia stared at the Mitchell mansion, all white columns and old money and casual cruelty wrapped in good breeding. Now I have a business loan I can't pay back, a reputation in ruins, and a sister who apparently thought screwing my boyfriend was an acceptable Christmas activity. Come over. We'll drink wine, plot revenge, and I need to be alone. Mia started the car. I'll call you tomorrow. She ended the call before Priya could protest. Mia drove aimlessly through Greenwich's decorated streets. Every house looked like a Christmas card, white lights twinkling, wreaths on doors, expensive cars in driveways. Perfect lives behind perfect facades. She'd wanted this so badly. Wanted to belong here, to build something that mattered, to prove that a girl from a working-class family in Stamford could make it in Greenwich's rarefied world. Instead, she'd become a meme. Her phone buzzed with a new notification. Against her better judgment, she looked. Ryan Mitchell had posted on Instagram, "Sometimes the universe knows what we need before we do." Excited for the next chapter. Christmas tree red heart #new beginnings #Christmas love. He'd tagged Lily. Mia pulled over before she crashed. She sat in her car outside a closed bakery, watching families walk by with shopping bags and smiles, and let herself shatter. Great, heaving sobs that shook her entire body. The kind of crying that left you hollow and exhausted and wondering how you'd ever been stupid enough to believe in happy endings. When her phone rang again an hour later, she almost didn't answer. Unknown number. Probably a reporter looking for a statement about crazy Christmas Mia. But something made her pick up. Mia Torres. The voice was male, deep, with the faint trace of an accent she couldn't place. British? South African? Who is this? Someone who's been where you are. Someone who knows what it's like to be destroyed by people who've never had to fight for anything. A pause. Someone who'd like to offer you a solution. I'm not interested in whatever you're selling. I'm not selling anything. I'm offering you revenge. Mia's finger hovered over the end call button. She should hang up. This was probably some scam, some predator who'd seen the video and thought she was vulnerable enough to exploit. But that voice. There was something familiar about it. Who is this? She asked again. Sebastian Kane. Ryan's old roommate from MIT. We met a few years ago at his graduation party. Mia's breath caught. She remembered Sebastian Kane. You didn't forget Sebastian Kane. 6'3", dark hair, sharp jaw, and eyes that saw too much. The self-made billionaire who'd looked completely out of place at Ryan's trust fund celebration, wearing an ill-fitting suit and an expression of barely concealed disdain for the whole affair. She'd told him his tie was hideous. He'd told her she was too smart to be dating Ryan Mitchell. She'd thought he was arrogant and presumptuous. She'd also thought about him far more than was appropriate for a woman in a relationship. "I remember," she said carefully. "What do you want?" "To make you an offer you shouldn't refuse but probably will because you're proud and stubborn and currently sitting in your car outside Sweet Dreams Bakery wondering if your life is over." Mia looked around wildly. "Are you watching me?" "No. I'm guessing. I know Greenwich. I know that bakery is closed on Christmas Eve. I know you drive somewhere public but empty because you're smart enough to want witnesses but too proud to let anyone see you break down." His voice softened slightly. "Am I wrong?" He wasn't wrong. "What's the offer?" "Marry me for 1 year. In return, I'll pay off your mother's medical debt, fund the relaunch of your business, and give you the best revenge you could possibly have on Ryan Mitchell, proving you never needed him at all." Mia's laugh was sharp and bitter. "That's insane. So is letting Ryan win. This isn't a game." "Everything is a game, Mia. The question is whether you're brave enough to play." Sebastian paused. "I need a wife for reasons I'll explain in person. You need a fresh start. We can help each other. No emotions, no complications. Just a clean business arrangement that benefits us both and drives Ryan absolutely insane." "Why me?" "Because you're the only person who ever looked at me and didn't see a bank account." His voice held something raw, something real. "Because you told me my tie was hideous and my speech was pretentious, and you were right about both. Because you're brilliant and talented and deserve better than to be a meme. And because," he stopped. "Because I can." It was the worst proposal Mia had ever heard. It was also, impossibly, exactly what some broken part of her wanted to hear. "I need to think about it," she said. "You have until tomorrow. Meet me at the Delamar at noon. Suite 412. If you don't show, I'll assume that's your answer. And if I do show? Then we discuss terms, sign a contract, and give Greenwich something to really talk about." He hung up before she could respond. Mia sat in her car, staring at her phone, wondering if Sebastian Kane was insane or brilliant or possibly both. Marry a billionaire for revenge. It was ridiculous. It was impossible. It was the kind of thing that only happened in novels and fever dreams. But as Mia drove home to her empty apartment, past houses filled with families and love and all the things she thought she'd have by now, she couldn't stop thinking about Sebastian's offer. About his voice when he said she deserved better. About the way Ryan's post, excited for the next chapter, had felt like a knife between her ribs. About revenge. When Mia Torres finally fell asleep at 3 a.m. on Christmas morning, still wearing yesterday's clothes and smelling of champagne and heartbreak, she dreamed of billionaires and bargains and all the ways a smart woman could win a game she never wanted to play. She woke at 11:15 a.m. with 47 new notifications, a splitting headache, and a decision that would change everything. At 11:47 a.m., she got in her car and started driving toward the Delamar Hotel. Some mistakes, she thought, were worth making twice. Christmas Day, 11:53 a.m. Mia sat in the Delamar Hotel parking lot, gripping her steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her tethered to reality. She'd changed clothes 4 times. Settled on black jeans, a cream cashmere sweater her mother had given her last Christmas, and her good leather boots, the ones she wore to client meetings when she needed to feel powerful. Her armor. Though what kind of armor did you wear to a business meeting about marrying a billionaire for revenge? Her phone buzzed. Her mother, for the 7th time that morning. Mia declined the call. She couldn't deal with Maria Torres right now. Couldn't hear another lecture about family loyalty, about how Lily didn't mean to hurt you, about how these things happen and Ryan wasn't right for you anyway. As if her mother's ability to forgive Lily for everything absolved the betrayal. As if being the dependable daughter, the responsible one, meant Mia wasn't allowed to fall apart when her world imploded. 11:54 a.m. 6 minutes until she had to decide if she was really doing this. Mia pulled down the visor mirror, checking her reflection. She'd covered the dark circles under her eyes with concealer, applied minimal makeup, pulled her hair into a sleek low bun. Professional. Controlled. The opposite of crazy Christmas Mia. She'd checked social media once this morning. Once was enough. The video had over 50,000 views. The memes were multiplying. Someone had created a TikTok audio using her "you bitch" line. Her professional Instagram, at Torres Events Greenwich, 12,000 carefully cultivated followers, was flooded with comments ranging from sympathy to mockery to marriage proposals from men who thought she was hot when angry. 3 more clients had emailed overnight, politely severing ties. Torres Events was hemorrhaging faster than she could stop it. 11:55 a.m. Mia grabbed her purse, the vintage Chanel her grandmother had left her, one of the few nice things she owned that wasn't bought on credit, and got out of the car before she could change her mind. The Delamar was exactly the kind of place Sebastian Kane would choose. Understated elegance, quiet luxury, the sort of hotel where celebrities and billionaires could move without being photographed. The lobby was all cream marble and dark wood, decorated for Christmas with tasteful garlands and a towering tree that probably cost more than Mia's car. A concierge materialized at her elbow. "May I help you, miss? I'm here to see a guest. Suite 412. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or pity. Had he seen the video? "Mr. Kane is expecting you. The elevator is to your left." Of course Sebastian had told them she was coming. The man had known she'd show up before she'd known herself. The elevator was empty, mirrored on 3 sides. Mia watched herself rise through the floors, a woman who looked far more composed than she felt. The doors opened on the 4th floor with a soft chime. Suite 412 was at the end of a long hallway carpeted in deep burgundy. Mia's heels made no sound as she walked. She raised her hand to knock, then paused. This was insane. She was about to propose a fake marriage to a man she'd met once, 6 years ago, for approximately 20 minutes. A man who'd somehow known exactly where she'd be last night, exactly what she'd be feeling. A man who was offering her everything she needed wrapped in a contract that felt too good to be true. Because things that seemed too good to be true usually were. But what was the alternative? Crawl back to her ruined business. Face Ryan and Lily at inevitable family gatherings. Watch her mother's medical bills pile up while pretending she was fine. Mia knocked. The door opened immediately. Sebastian Kane was somehow more devastating than she remembered. He wore dark jeans and a black Henley that did nothing to hide the fact that the tech billionaire clearly spent time in a gym. His skin was a deep, rich brown, his jaw sharp enough to cut, and those eyes, dark and penetrating and far too knowing, fixed on her with an intensity that made Mia's breath catch. He'd been handsome at Ryan's graduation. Now, at 34, he was something else entirely. Commanding. Magnetic. The kind of man who walked into rooms and made everyone else fade into background noise. Mia. Her name sounded different in his voice. Waited. Important. I wasn't sure you'd come. I wasn't sure either. She forced herself to hold his gaze. Can I come in, or are we conducting contract negotiations in the hallway? A smile ghosted across his face, there and gone so quickly she almost missed it. He stepped aside, gesturing her in. The suite was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Greenwich Harbor, where boats bobbed in their slips and late-morning sun turned the water silver. The living area was decorated in whites and creams, modern and minimalist, with a kitchenette, a dining table, and 2 doors that presumably led to bedrooms. On the dining table sat a manila folder, a laptop, and 2 cups of coffee. I didn't know how you take it, Sebastian said, following her gaze. So there's cream and sugar on the side. And pastries from that bakery you were parked outside last night. They're apparently the best in Greenwich. Mia turned to face him. How did you know I was there? I have good instincts. He moved to the windows, putting space between them, giving her room to breathe. And I've been watching Ryan Mitchell make a fool of himself on social media for 6 years. I know the places in Greenwich someone would go to fall apart. Privately. That's either very perceptive or very creepy. Both, probably. He turned back to her, and the morning light illuminated his face, the hard angles and sharp intelligence. You should know before we go any further, I'm not a good man, Mia. I'm ruthless in business, I don't forgive easily, and I'm offering you this arrangement because it serves my purposes. This isn't altruism. I didn't think it was. Mia stayed by the door, maintaining her own distance. You said you need a wife. Why? My grandmother. Sebastian's expression softened slightly. The only crack in his armor. Eleanor Kane. She's 82, built a real estate empire from nothing, and she's the only person in the world whose opinion matters to me. She also controls a $500 million trust that I can only access if I'm married by my 35th birthday. Which is March 15th. 12 weeks from now. Mia did the math. That's a very specific requirement. My grandfather died when my grandmother was 35. She always said those were her best years, young enough to be ambitious, old enough to be wise, and stable enough in her marriage to take risks. She wants the same for me. Marriage before 35, or the money goes to charity. 500 million is a lot of money to hold hostage. It is. Sebastian moved to the coffee, poured himself a cup. Black, no sugar. It's also not actually about the money. I have more than enough. It's about proving something to her. That I'm not so consumed by work that I've forgotten how to be human. That I can build something that matters outside of quarterly earnings and market share. And you can't just find someone to marry for real. His laugh was bitter. I've tried. 3 relationships in the last 5 years, all ending the same way. They meet me, they see the lifestyle, they think they want it. Then they realize I work 18-hour days, I'm obsessed with my company, and I'm not particularly good at the romantic gestures they see in movies. They leave. Usually for someone older, richer, or more attentive. So you want a wife who won't leave because she's contractually obligated to stay. I want a wife who knows exactly what she's signing up for. No illusions, no disappointments. Sebastian's eyes found hers across the room. And I want someone intelligent enough to handle my grandmother's scrutiny, strong enough not to be intimidated by my world, and motivated enough to fulfill the terms. Motivated by money, you mean? Motivated by whatever drives you. I don't care about your reasons, Mia. I care about results. It should have stung, that casual dismissal of her motivations. Instead, Mia found it almost refreshing. No pretense. No romance. Just honest transactionalism. Why me? She asked. You're a billionaire. You could hire an actress, find a socialite who needs money, pick literally anyone. Why track down your old roommate's ex-girlfriend? Sebastian set down his coffee cup with deliberate care. Because 6 years ago, at the worst party I'd ever attended, surrounded by people who treated me like a novelty or a threat, you looked at me like I was just a guy with a bad tie. You didn't know how much money I had. You didn't care. You just told me the truth. I was rude. You were real. He took a step toward her, then stopped, as if catching himself. And yesterday, when I saw that video, I saw the same thing I saw 6 years ago. Someone real in a world of pretense. Someone who fought to build something and got destroyed by people who never had to fight for anything. That video was the worst moment of my life. I know. That's why I called. Sebastian's voice gentled. I've been where you are, Mia. Not exactly the same, but close enough. I know what it's like when the world decides you're a joke. When everything you built can disappear because the wrong people decided you don't belong. What happened? I was from the Bronx, that my mom cleaned houses, that I wore the same 3 shirts in rotation. They made a video. Scholarship boy Sebastian, trying to fit in with his betters. It went viral before viral was even a thing. I almost dropped out. Mia's chest tightened. But you didn't. No. I got angry instead. I decided that if they were going to make me the outsider, I'd become so successful they'd have no choice but to accept me. I built my company. Made my first billion by 30. And I never forgot what it felt like to be humiliated by people who thought they were better than me. He crossed the space between them then, stopping just close enough that Mia could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle, cedar and citrus. That's why you, Sebastian said quietly. Because I see myself in you. Because you deserve better than to be Ryan Mitchell's punchline. And because when I offer you revenge, I mean it. I will make sure everyone in Greenwich knows you upgraded. Spectacularly. Mia's heart was racing. She couldn't tell if it was fear or excitement or something more dangerous. What are the terms? Sebastian smiled, a real smile this time, transforming his face from intimidating to almost beautiful. Let's sit. He gestured to the dining table. Mia took a seat, and Sebastian slid the manila folder across to her. Standard prenuptial agreement, he said. Modified for our specific arrangement. The highlights: we marry as soon as possible, preferably this week. We stay married for 1 year from the date of the wedding. We present as a real couple in public, dinners, events, social media. My grandmother lives in Vermont. We'll visit her once a month. She's sharp, and she'll be looking for cracks, so we need to be convincing. Mia opened the folder. The contract was 40 pages, dense legal text that would take hours to parse. I'll need my lawyer to look at this. Already arranged. I have a car ready to take you to meet with Victoria Chen, she's one of the best. Family law attorneys in Connecticut, completely independent, and already has a copy of the contract. She'll explain everything, answer your questions, and negotiate on your behalf if there's anything you want changed. You're very prepared. I don't do anything halfway. Sebastian pulled out his laptop, turning it so they could both see the screen. Your compensation: I'll pay off your mother's medical debt immediately upon signing. $250,000 in outstanding bills from her cancer treatment, correct? Mia's throat tightened. How do you know that? I did my research. I'm thorough. He clicked to another document. For the business, I'll provide $500,000 in startup capital for the relaunch of Torres events. New branding, new office space, new marketing, whatever you need. Additionally, I'll introduce you to my network. I know people in New York, Boston, Los Angeles. People who need world-class event planners and don't care about Greenwich gossip. $500,000. Mia's entire business had cost less than $100,000 to launch the first time. There's more, Sebastian continued. A monthly allowance of $50,000 for personal expenses, clothes, car, whatever you need to look the part of Mrs. Kane. At the end of the year, when we divorce, you'll receive a settlement of $2 million. Total payout for 12 months, $3.2 million, plus your mother's debt cleared and your business fully funded. Mia's head was spinning. That's insane. That's business. I'm buying a service. This is the price. What do you get besides access to your trust? Sebastian leaned back in his chair, studying her. Peace of mind. My grandmother's approval. A year where I can focus on my company without her constantly setting me up with suitable women. And yes, the satisfaction of watching Ryan Mitchell realize you never needed him. What are the rules? Simple. We maintain separate Bedrooms in my house, you'll have your own suite, complete privacy. We're faithful to each other in public, but what you do privately is your business as long as it's discreet. No falling in love with each other, this is a business arrangement, and emotions complicate things. And at the end of the year, we part as friends. Clean divorce, no drama, both of us moving forward. No falling in love, Mia repeated. You put that in a contract. I've learned that anything not in a contract becomes a problem later. Mia stared at the papers in front of her. $3.2 million. Her mother's debt cleared. Her business resurrected. And all she had to do was pretend to be married to one of the most eligible bachelors in America for 12 months. What if your grandmother figures it out, she asked. Then I lose the trust, and you still get paid. The contract is ironclad on that point, your compensation isn't contingent on success, only on fulfilling the terms. This seems too good to be true. It's mutually beneficial. You get revenge and financial security. I get my inheritance and a year of peace. No one loses. Except something in his voice made Mia think Sebastian Kane had lost something already. Something he wasn't putting in the contract. I need 24 hours, she said. You have 12. I need an answer by midnight. Sebastian's expression was unreadable. I'm not trying to pressure you, but the timing matters. The longer we wait, the less believable the relationship is. People need to think we fell fast and hard. Love at first sight, swept away, all the romantic nonsense that makes this seem real. Midnight on Christmas. Fitting, don't you think? One Christmas destroys you, the next one saves you. Mia stood, gathering her purse. The contract felt heavy in her hands, weighted with possibility and danger. If I say yes, she said slowly, this changes everything. My relationship with my family, my reputation, my entire life. I need to be sure. I understand. Sebastian stood as well, moving to open the door for her. But Mia? You should know, I've already made the first move. What do you mean? He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and showed her. It was Instagram. Sebastian's account, verified, 2.3 million followers, mostly company updates and tech industry content. The newest post, uploaded 15 minutes ago, was a photo. Sebastian in this exact suite, looking out the window, coffee cup in hand. Artfully casual. Devastatingly handsome. The caption read, sometimes the best things happen when you're not looking. Greenwich is more interesting than I remembered. #new chapter #Christmas Day. That's. Mia's voice trailed off. Vague enough to be anything. Specific enough that if you say yes, people will connect the dots when we announce our relationship. If you say no, it's just a wealthy guy spending Christmas in Greenwich. But if you say yes, this becomes the first breadcrumb. The beginning of our story. You posted this before I even arrived. I told you. Good instincts. Mia should have been angry at the presumption. Instead, she felt something else. Something that felt dangerously like excitement. I'll call you by midnight, she said. I'll be waiting. She was at the door when Sebastian spoke again. Mia. She turned. For what it's worth, he said quietly, Ryan Mitchell is an idiot. And you're going to be extraordinary. Mia left before he could see her blush. She met with Victoria Chen for 3 hours. The lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s with a corner office and a reputation for destroying opposing counsel, went through the contract line by line. Explained the legal implications, the exit clauses, the protections built in for both parties. It's actually remarkably fair, Victoria said, pushing her reading glasses up. Mr. Kane isn't trying to trap you or exploit you. If anything, the terms favor you. You get paid regardless of outcome. You maintain complete financial independence. And the divorce settlement is generous by any standard. What's the catch? The emotional one. You'll be living with him, presenting as his wife, integrating into his life. That's intimate, even if you're not romantic. You need to be prepared for what happens when the lines blur. They won't blur. It's a business arrangement. Victoria gave her a look that said she'd heard that before. Mia, I've handled hundreds of prenups. I've seen couples start with every intention of keeping things simple, only to have feelings develop. You're going to be living with an intelligent, attractive, wealthy man who, based on this contract, genuinely wants to help you. That's a recipe for emotional entanglement. I can handle it. Can you? Because the other catch is this: when it ends, you walk away. No matter what. 1 year, clean divorce, both parties moving on. If you fall for him and he doesn't fall for you, you're left heartbroken with a big check. If he falls for you and you don't feel the same, you've hurt someone who tried to help you. And if you both fall, then we renegotiate. Or you complicate something that was supposed to be simple. Victoria closed the folder. I'm not trying to talk you out of this. Financially, it's an incredible opportunity. But go in with your eyes open. Sebastian Kane doesn't strike me as a man who does anything halfway. This arrangement will consume your life for a year. Make sure that's what you want. Mia signed the papers confirming Victoria as her attorney and left with the contract to review. She spent the afternoon at Priya's apartment, going through every clause while her best friend provided wine and commentary. This is literally a Hallmark movie, Priya said, reading over Mia's shoulder. Except with more money and better lawyers. This is insane. This is amazing. Do you know what you could do with $3 million? You could restart your business anywhere. Move to New York. Los Angeles. Tell Greenwich Society to fuck itself. My mom. Your mom will be fine. Better than fine. Her medical debt will be gone. Priya squeezed Mia's shoulder. Baby, you've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. Your mom, your sister, building a business in a town that never wanted you. When do you get to do something for yourself? This isn't for myself. It's revenge. Revenge that pays $3 million and comes with a gorgeous husband. I fail to see the downside. Mia stared at the contract. At the neat, precise language that would transform her life. At Sebastian's signature at the bottom, already signed, waiting for hers. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother: Lily is very upset. She thinks you hate her. This is family, Mia. We need to talk about forgiveness. Nothing about Ryan. Nothing about the betrayal. Just Lily's feelings, as always. Mia deleted the text. Another notification. An email from another client, canceling. The fourth one today. Another notification. A comment on the viral video: LMAO, imagine being this pressed about a dude. He upgraded. Mia closed her eyes. She thought about Ryan's post. Excited for the next chapter. She thought about Sebastian's voice. You deserve better than to be Ryan Mitchell's punchline. She thought about the look in Victoria Chen's eyes when she'd said, when do you get to do something for yourself? At 11:47 p.m., Mia picked up her phone. She typed out a message to the number Sebastian had called from: I have questions. The response came immediately. Ask them. What happens if I can't do this? If I sign and then realize I can't pretend for a year? Then we figure it out together. The contract has exit clauses. You're not trapped. What happens if it works? If we convince everyone, including your grandmother? Then we both get what we want. You get your life back. I get my inheritance. We part as friends and move on. And if something goes wrong? A longer pause this time. Then, I'll protect you. Whatever happens, whatever goes wrong, I won't let you get hurt worse than you already are. You have my word. Mia stared at those words. You have my word. Not legally binding. Not in the contract. Just a promise from a man she barely knew. But something about it felt more real than all 40 pages of legal text. At 11:58 p.m. on Christmas Day, Mia Torres typed out the message that would change everything. I'm in. When do we start? The response came at 11:59 p.m. Now. Pack a bag. I'm sending a car to pick you up at 8 a.m. We're getting married on Friday. This Friday. This Friday. The sooner we start, the more believable the story. Trust me. Mia laughed, sharp and slightly hysterical, and typed back, I'm trusting a man I've met twice to marry me in 4 days. This is either the smartest or stupidest thing I've ever done. It's both. The best decisions usually are. See you Friday. See you Friday, Mrs. Kane. Mia set down her phone and stared at her reflection in Priya's darkened window. Somewhere between yesterday's devastation and tonight's decision, she'd stopped looking like crazy Christmas Mia. She looked like a woman with a plan. A dangerous plan. A potentially stupid plan. But a plan nonetheless. I'm getting married on Friday, she said aloud, testing the words. They sounded insane. They also sounded exactly like the fresh start she'd been desperate for. Mia Torres went home and started packing. Ask them. What happens if I can't do this? If I sign and then realize I can't pretend for a year? Then we figure it out together. The contract has exit clauses. You're not trapped. What happens if it works? If we convince everyone, including your grandmother? Then we both get what we want. You get your life back. I get my inheritance. We part as friends and move on. And if something goes wrong? A longer pause this time. Then, I'll protect you. Whatever happens, whatever goes wrong, I won't let you get hurt worse than you already are. You have my word. Mia stared at those words. You have my word. Not legally binding. Not in the contract. Just a promise from a man she barely knew. But something about it felt more real than all 40 pages of legal text. At 11:58 p.m. on Christmas Day, Mia Torres typed out the message that would change everything. I'm in. When do we start? The response came at 11:59 p.m. Now. Pack a bag. I'm sending a car to pick you up at 8 a.m. We're getting married on Friday. This Friday. This Friday. The sooner we start, the more believable the story. Trust me. Mia laughed, sharp and slightly hysterical, and typed back, I'm trusting a man I've met twice to marry me in 4 days. This is either the smartest or stupidest thing I've ever done. It's both. The best decisions usually are. See you Friday. See you Friday, Mrs. Kane. Mia set down her phone and stared at her reflection in Priya's darkened window. Somewhere between yesterday's devastation and tonight's decision, she'd stopped looking like crazy Christmas Mia. She looked like a woman with a plan. A dangerous plan. A potentially stupid plan. But a plan nonetheless. I'm getting married on Friday, she said aloud, testing the words. They sounded insane. They also sounded exactly like the fresh start she'd been desperate for. Mia Torres went home and started packing. Friday, December 29th, 9:47 a.m. Mia stood in the bridal suite of Greenwich Town Hall, staring at her reflection and trying to remember how to breathe. 4 days. She'd known Sebastian Kane, really known him, beyond a single conversation 6 years ago, for exactly 4 days, and in 20 minutes, she was going to marry him. The dress had arrived yesterday via courier. Valentino, ivory silk that draped like water over her curves, elegant and understated with a subtle train. Simple. Sophisticated. The kind of dress that whispered money rather than shouting it. Sebastian had included a note, you should look like yourself, just elevated. No Cinderella transformations. You're already extraordinary. The note sat in her purse now, folded and creased from the 17 times she'd read it. Stop fidgeting, Priya said, adjusting Mia's cathedral-length veil for the 3rd time. You're going to wrinkle the silk. I'm getting married. Yes, that's generally why one wears a wedding dress. To a man I barely know. A devastatingly hot billionaire who's paying you $3 million and worships the ground you walk on. Priya stepped back, examining her work. I've attended worse weddings. Mia turned from the mirror to face her best friend. Priya wore a deep emerald dress, not quite bridesmaid, not quite guest. The perfect ambiguous choice for a wedding that was real but not real. What if I can't do this? Mia's voice came out smaller than she intended. What if I mess it up? Then you mess it up. You're human. Priya took Mia's hands. But baby, you've spent the last 4 days being more yourself than I've seen you in. 3 years with Ryan. Sebastian brings something out in you. Something real. That was the problem. The last 4 days had been a whirlwind of planning, preparation, and unexpected intimacy. Sebastian had moved through each step with military precision, marriage license obtained through expedited processing, small ceremony arranged at town hall with a judge who owed him a favor, announcement prepared for social media, photographer hired to document the intimate affair. But between the logistics, there had been moments. Sebastian showing up at her apartment at midnight on Tuesday with Thai food because you probably haven't eaten. The two of them sitting on her floor, eating pad Thai from containers, while he asked about her business dreams and actually listened to the answers. Wednesday afternoon, when he'd taken her to see the house, his house, her home for the next year. 10,000 square feet of glass and stone overlooking the Sound, with a guest suite that he'd already converted into her private sanctuary. Your space, he'd said. I won't enter without permission. You need somewhere that's completely yours. Thursday morning, meeting with his team to coordinate the social media rollout. Sebastian had held her hand under the conference table when the PR manager suggested they lean into the Cinderella narrative. He'd shut it down immediately. Mia isn't Cinderella. She's a successful businesswoman who doesn't need rescuing. Our story is about two people who found each other at the right time. Not a fairy tale. Reality. And last night, the rehearsal dinner that was just the two of them at an empty restaurant he'd rented out. They'd talked for 4 hours, about his grandmother, her family, his childhood in the Bronx, her struggles building Torres events. He'd told her about the first million he'd made, how empty it felt. She'd told him about the first event she'd planned, a backyard quinceañera, and how alive she'd felt creating something beautiful. At the end of the night, standing outside her apartment, Sebastian had looked at her with something raw in his eyes. You can still back out, he'd said quietly. Right up until you say, I do, this is your choice. I won't hold it against you. And if I go through with it, then I promise I'll make this year worth it. Not just financially. I'll make sure you don't regret choosing me. He'd kissed her forehead, chaste, almost brotherly, and left. Mia had stood in her doorway for 10 minutes afterward, fingers pressed to where his lips had been, wondering what the hell she was doing. Now, standing in this bridal suite wearing a dress that cost more than her first car, she still wasn't sure. A knock at the door made them both jump. 5 minutes, Miss Torres, someone called. Miss Torres. For 5 more minutes, at least. Priya squeezed her hand. You ready? No. Good. The best adventures start with terror. Priya grinned. Now let's go get you married to your billionaire fake husband. The ceremony room at Greenwich Town Hall was small and elegant, with dark wood paneling and tall windows letting in winter light. Sebastian had somehow transformed the usually sterile government space into something almost romantic, white roses everywhere, candles despite it being morning, a string quartet playing softly in the corner. There were only 6 people in attendance. Priya, serving as Mia's witness and moral support. Marcus Chen, Sebastian's best friend and CTO of his company, a slight Asian man with sharp eyes and a knowing smile. Judge Patricia Morrison, who'd apparently known Sebastian since he was a scholarship student at MIT and had always known he'd do something extraordinary. The photographer, discreet and professional, capturing everything. And Sebastian's assistant, Hannah, coordinating everything with quiet efficiency. Notably absent, both their families. My grandmother can't travel in winter, Sebastian had explained when discussing the guest list. Her arthritis. We'll visit her next week, show her the photos. She'll understand. Mia hadn't invited her mother or sister. Couldn't imagine explaining this to Maria Torres, who would either be horrified or try to turn it into a lesson about forgiveness. Better to announce it after the fact, when it was done and irreversible. The doors opened. The quartet shifted to Pachelbel's canon in D, traditional, beautiful, the kind of thing that made weddings feel real even when they weren't. Mia stepped into the doorway, and Sebastian turned. The look on his face made her forget how to breathe. He wore a midnight blue Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than some cars, crisp white shirt, no tie. His hair was freshly cut, his jaw sharp, and those dark eyes fixed on her with an intensity that felt like being seen at a cellular level. But it was his expression that undid her. He looked at her like she was already his. Like she'd always been his. Like this ceremony was just making official what his heart had known all along. It's an act, Mia reminded herself. He's a billionaire who's paying you. This is performance. But God, it was a convincing performance. She walked down the short aisle, no father to give her away, no family witnesses, just her and this choice she was making. Sebastian met her halfway, extending his hand. You look. His voice was rough. Mia, you look extraordinary. You clean up pretty well yourself. His smile was warm and real. Shall we? They walked together to stand before Judge Morrison, who beamed at them like a proud aunt. Dearly beloved, she began, and Mia felt the surreality of it wash over her. This was happening. She was really doing this. The ceremony was short. No long speeches about love and commitment, no personal vows that would feel like lies. Just the traditional words, spoken clearly and without embellishment. Do you, Sebastian James Kane, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. His voice was steady, certain. His eyes never left Mia's face. And do you, Mia Rose Torres, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? This was it. The moment where she could still back out, still walk away, still choose the safe path of returning to her old life. Except there was no old life to return to. Torres Events was in ruins. Her reputation was destroyed. Her sister had betrayed her, her mother had chosen Lily's feelings over Mia's pain, and Ryan Mitchell was probably somewhere posting Instagram stories about new beginnings. And Sebastian was standing here, offering her a way forward. Maybe not a perfect way. Maybe not even a smart way. But a way that was hers, on her terms, with someone who seemed to actually see her. I do, Mia said. The words felt like jumping off a cliff. They felt like flying. By the power vested in me by the state of Connecticut, Judge Morrison said, smiling broadly, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Sebastian, you may kiss your bride. Sebastian's hand came up to cup Mia's face, gentle and sure. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. Okay, he murmured, quiet enough that only she could hear. He was asking permission. Even now, even with a judge declaring them married, he was making sure she wanted this. Mia nodded. Sebastian kissed her. It was supposed to be performative. A brief, appropriate kiss for the official record. The kind of thing that would photograph well and satisfy the requirements of the ceremony. Instead, it was devastating. His lips were soft, warm, moving against hers with a restraint that felt like barely contained fire. One hand cradled her face, the other found the small of her back, pulling her closer. The kiss was thorough, claiming, the kind of kiss that made Mia forget they were being watched, forget this was supposed to be fake, forget everything except the taste of him and the way her body responded like it had been waiting for this. When they finally broke apart, Sebastian's eyes were dark and dangerous. "Hi, wife," he murmured. "Hi, husband." The photographer was going to have a field day with whatever expression was on her face right now. The photos took an hour. Sebastian and Mia on the town hall steps, his arm around her waist, both of them laughing at something Marcus said. Close-ups of their hands, Mia's new wedding ring, a stunning vintage diamond and platinum band that Sebastian had somehow found in 3 days, catching the light. The two of them in the ceremony room, recreating moments, the first look, the exchange of rings, another kiss that the photographer requested, just one more time for the perfect angle. That kiss lasted longer than the official one. When they finally finished, Marcus clapped Sebastian on the shoulder. "Congratulations, man. You actually did it." "Had my doubts." Sebastian's arm was still around Mia's waist. Possessive. Natural. Like he'd been holding her for years instead of days. Always. Marcus turned to Mia, his expression sharp and assessing. "Welcome to the family, Mrs. Kane. Fair warning, Sebastian doesn't do anything halfway. Including marriage. You're in for an interesting year. I'll try to keep up." "Oh, I think you'll do more than keep up." Marcus's smile was knowing. "I think you'll give him a run for his money. Which is exactly what he needs." Judge Morrison hugged them both, whispering to Mia, "I've known that boy since he was 18 and terrified of everything. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. Whatever brought you together, don't take it lightly." "It's fake," Mia wanted to say. "This is a business arrangement. We have a contract." But the words stuck in her throat. Priya pulled Mia aside while Sebastian coordinated something with Hannah. "Okay," Priya said without preamble. "I need you to be honest with me. Are you okay? Because you just married a man you met a week ago, and you look way too happy for someone in a fake relationship." "I'm fine. Mia. I am. It's good. He's good. Better than I expected. That's what worries me." Priya's voice softened. "That kiss didn't look fake. The way he looks at you doesn't look fake. The way you're looking at him right now definitely doesn't look fake." Mia glanced over at Sebastian, who was laughing at something Marcus said, his face transformed from the serious billionaire into something younger, lighter. "It's acting," Mia said. "We're both good at acting." "Acting," she says. "While wearing a man's ring and looking at him like he hung the moon." "I'm not judging. I'm just saying, be careful. You've been hurt enough. And Sebastian Kane looks like the kind of man who could destroy you without even meaning to." Before Mia could respond, Sebastian appeared at her side. "Ready?" he asked. "We have a lunch reservation, and then we need to get to the airport." "Airport?" Sebastian's smile was almost shy. "I'm taking my wife on a honeymoon. Well, a weekend trip to Vermont to meet my grandmother." "Same thing, really. You didn't mention." "I'm mentioning now. Hannah packed a bag for you based on the sizes Priya provided. We'll be gone until Monday. If you're not comfortable with that, we can postpone, but Eleanor is expecting us tomorrow morning, and..." "It's fine." Mia cut off his rambling, charmed by this nervous version of Sebastian. A weekend in Vermont sounds perfect. His relief was palpable. "Thank you." They said goodbye to the small wedding party. Marcus hugged Mia and told her to keep him honest. Priya made Mia promise to text every day. Judge Morrison took approximately 100 photos for her personal collection. And then it was just the two of them, walking out of Greenwich Town Hall into the weak December sunlight, married. A black Mercedes was waiting at the curb, driver ready. Sebastian opened the door for Mia, a gesture that should have felt performative but somehow didn't. As the car pulled away, Sebastian took her hand. "How are you feeling?" he asked quietly. "Like I just jumped off a building and I'm not sure if I'm flying or falling. That's marriage in general, I think." Mia laughed, some of the tension breaking. "You would know. All those past relationships you mentioned. None that ended in marriage. You're my first wife, Mrs. Kane." The name sent a shiver through her. Mrs. Kane. Mia Kane. She'd spent the last week practicing signing it, getting used to the shape of it. "We should probably talk about the announcement," Sebastian said, pulling out his phone. "The photos are ready. I was thinking we post in an hour, right as we're heading to the airport." Creates a narrative, married this morning, immediate honeymoon. Very romantic, very spontaneous. Very us, Mia said dryly. Exactly. He showed her the proposed Instagram post. A photo from the ceremony, Sebastian's hand on her face, that devastating first kiss. The caption read, "Started the week as strangers who reconnected at the right time. Ending it as husband and wife. When you know, you know. Meet Mrs. Kane. Ring #Christmas proposal #love at second sight #Greenwich." It was perfect. Vague enough to let people draw their own conclusions, romantic enough to be believable, and that #love at second sight, acknowledged their previous meeting without making it seem planned. "What will you post?" Sebastian asked. Mia thought for a moment, then opened her own Instagram. She'd been avoiding it all week, unable to face the comments on the viral video. But this would be her reclamation. She selected a photo of them on the town hall steps, Sebastian's arm around her, both of them laughing. Genuine. Happy. Nothing like, "Crazy Christmas Mia." She typed, "Plot twist of the century." Started the week devastated. Ending it as Mrs. Sebastian Kane. Funny how life works out. Sometimes the universe knows what you need before you do. 2 hearts #new beginnings #Mrs. Kane #worth the wait. "Worth the wait," Sebastian read aloud. His voice was unreadable. "Is that what I am?" Mia met his eyes. "You tell me." The car pulled up to a restaurant, Del Posto. Absurdly expensive, requiring reservations months in advance. Of course Sebastian Kane could get a table on his wedding day. They were seated in a private room, just the two of them, surrounded by elegant Italian cuisine and wine that probably cost more than Mia's monthly rent. "To us," Sebastian said, raising his glass. "To a mutually beneficial arrangement that exceeds all expectations. To revenge that looks suspiciously like happiness," Mia countered. Their glasses clinked. Halfway through the meal, both their phones exploded. The Instagram posts had gone live. Sebastian's had 50,000 likes in 10 minutes. Comments flooding in. "What? Sebastian Kane is married? Who is she? Just looked her up, she's an event planner, they met at MIT. This is the same girl from the Christmas video, OMG, she upgraded massively." Mia's post was even more chaotic. "Girl, you win. From Ryan Mitchell to Sebastian Kane, that's an upgrade. Is this the same guy from Ryan's graduation? I remember this. Everyone calling her crazy last week, looking real stupid now. That's how you do revenge." And then, inevitably, the one she'd been waiting for. A comment from Caroline Ashworth, "Interesting timing. Congratulations. Nail polish." Sebastian saw at the same time Mia did. His expression went cold. "Want me to block her?" he asked. "No. Let her stew. She can't touch me now." "No," Sebastian agreed, his voice deadly soft. "She can't. No one can. You're mine now." The possessiveness in his voice should have alarmed her. Should have reminded her this was fake, that she wasn't really his. Instead, it sent heat through her entire body. Sebastian. I know. He set down his fork, suddenly serious. I know this is an arrangement. I know we have boundaries. But for the next year, publicly, you are mine and I am yours. And I take care of what's mine, Mia. Anyone who tries to hurt you will answer to me. That's not in the contract. Some things don't need to be. They stared at each other across the table, something electric and dangerous crackling between them. Mia's phone buzzed. A text from her mother, Marta just called. What is this about a wedding? Call me immediately. Another from Lily, Mia. What the hell? We need to talk. Another from Ryan, this is a joke, right? Mia showed Sebastian the last one. His smile was sharp and satisfied. Excellent. The right people are losing their minds. He typed something on his own phone. I just sent out a press release to the major business publications. By tonight, everyone will know. By tomorrow, Eleanor will have called every society matron in New England to brag about her grandson's marriage. No pressure for meeting her tomorrow. She's going to love you. Sebastian reached across the table, taking Mia's hand. His thumb traced patterns on her palm. Eleanor values authenticity above everything. Just be yourself. What if myself isn't enough? It's more than enough. He stopped, something flickering across his face. You're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. This is going to work. He sounded like he was trying to convince himself as much as her. They finished lunch in a comfortable silence, scrolling through the reactions, watching their carefully constructed narrative take shape. By the time they left for the airport, #Sebastian's wedding was trending locally, and think pieces were already appearing. Sebastian Kane's surprise wedding, a tech love story. From viral video to viral wedding, Mia Torres's incredible week. Greenwich's most eligible bachelor off the market. The private jet was waiting at Westchester County Airport. Mia had never been on a private plane. She tried not to gape at the leather seats, the full bar, the bedroom in the back. You have a bedroom on your plane, she said flatly. It's a long flight to the West Coast. Sometimes I need to sleep. Sebastian stored their bags, her borrowed suitcase, his leather weekender. The Vermont trip is only an hour. We won't need it. Right. Of course. They settled into facing seats as the plane taxied. Mia watched Greenwich disappear beneath them, the town that had chewed her up and spit her out, now seeing her as Mrs. Sebastian Kane. The revenge should have felt sweeter. Instead, she just felt tired. Hey, Sebastian said softly. When she looked up, his expression was gentle. Talk to me. What's going through that brilliant mind? I'm married. Yes. To you. Also yes. We've known each other for less than a week. 6 years and 1 week, technically. Mia laughed despite herself. You know what I mean. Sebastian unbuckled his seatbelt once they reached cruising altitude, moving to sit beside her instead of across from her. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, feel his warmth. I know this is overwhelming, he said. I know it happened fast. But Mia, I meant what I said in my vows. I'm going to make this year worth it. You're not just a contract to me. He paused, searching for words. You're someone I respect. Someone I want to protect. Someone I'm genuinely glad to have in my life, even if the circumstances are unusual. We kissed like that wasn't fake, Mia said quietly. I know. The contract said no emotions. No falling in love. I know that too. So what are we doing? Sebastian's hand found hers, lacing their fingers together. I think we're discovering that some things can't be predicted or controlled. I think we're learning that chemistry doesn't care about contracts. And I think, his voice dropped. I think we're both terrified of what happens if this becomes more than we planned. Mia's heart was racing. And if it does? Then we figure it out. Together. He squeezed her hand. But right now, let's just get through meeting my grandmother. She's going to interrogate you, test you, and probably try to feed you enough food to put you in a coma. Think you can handle that? I've survived worse this week. Yes, Sebastian said, his expression darkening. You have. And you're here. Anyway. You're extraordinary, Mia Kane. Mia Kane. The name was starting to feel real. As the plane flew north toward Vermont and whatever came next, Mia leaned her head on Sebastian's shoulder. He went still for a moment, then carefully, like she might break, wrapped his arm around her. Get some rest, he murmured. Tomorrow's going to be intense. Mia closed her eyes, surrounded by expensive leather and the scent of cedar and citrus, and let herself drift. She was married to Sebastian Kane. For better or worse, for money or revenge, for 1 year or whatever came after. She was Mrs. Kane now. And somehow, that felt less like losing herself and more like finding something she hadn't known she needed. Outside the plane window, Connecticut disappeared into snow-covered Vermont, and Mia dreamed of grandmother interrogations, weekend honeymoons, and the way Sebastian had kissed her like she was something precious. When she woke an hour later, his arm was still around her, and he was watching her with an expression that made her chest tight. We're descending, he said softly. Welcome to Vermont, Mrs. Kane. Ready to meet Eleanor? Mia straightened, checking her reflection in the window. As ready as I'll ever be. She's going to love you. How do you know? Sebastian's smile was soft and genuine. Because I'm starting to realize I do. The words hung in the air between them, dangerous, beautiful, completely against the contract they'd both signed. Mia should have called him on it. Should have reminded him of the terms, the boundaries, the clean divorce in 12 months. Instead, she kissed him. And Sebastian kissed her back like she was the only real thing in his carefully constructed world. The plane landed 10 minutes later. Their fake marriage was 4 hours old. And Mia was beginning to realize that some things, chemistry, connection, the way Sebastian's eyes lit up when she walked into a room, couldn't be faked at all. Welcome to Vermont, Mrs. Kane. Welcome to what? Whatever came next, Saturday, December 30th, 8:47 a.m. Eleanor Kane's Vermont estate looked like something out of a storybook. The main house was a restored 19th-century farmhouse, all white clapboard and black shutters, surrounded by 200 acres of snow-covered land. Smoke curled from 3 chimneys. Icicles hung from the eaves like crystal daggers. In the morning light, with the Green Mountains rising behind it, the place looked impossibly peaceful. Mia's stomach was in knots. She's going to know, Mia said for the 3rd time since they'd left the small Vermont airport. One look at us and she's going to know this is fake. Sebastian's hand found hers across the center console of the rental SUV. She's going to know we're nervous newlyweds who are still figuring each other out. Which is true. We've been married for less than 24 hours. Exactly. We're supposed to be awkward. His thumb traced circles on her palm. Mia, breathe. Eleanor isn't the enemy. She's sharp and she doesn't suffer fools, but she's also the kindest person I know. Just be yourself. What if myself isn't enough? Sebastian pulled into the circular driveway and put the car in park. Then he turned to face her fully, his expression serious. Listen to me. You are brilliant, talented, beautiful, and strong enough to rebuild your entire life in less than a week. You walked into my hotel room and negotiated a prenup like you were born to it. You married a stranger because you refused to let anyone make you a victim. Eleanor is going to take one look at you and know exactly why I chose you. You chose me because I was convenient. I chose you, Sebastian said quietly, because 6 years ago, you were the only person at that godforsaken party who treated me like a human being instead of a bank account. And this week, you reminded me what it feels like to be seen. Eleanor will recognize that. She always does. Before Mia could respond, the front door of the farmhouse opened. Eleanor Kane.